Watching anime may lead you to the realization that there are various different characters with shared traits. What I mean by that is character typing. Characters that are born with talents, aka prodigies in fiction, or maybe characters that are underdogs, have no talents or anything really going for them. One of my favorite traits in any manga is the prodigy, but more so how it rivals up with another character trait, hard work. With these two characters being essentially two sides of the same coin, I think it's very interesting to compare the two, and even more so, two that I found in the same manga. Blue Lock is one of the greatest sports manga of all time. Even though it was released August 1st of 2018 and shortly rose to fame all the way in the later end of 2022, it is sitting comfortably at one of the most watched sports anime or manga of all time. The lucky two characters that I've decided to talk about today are none other than Nagi Seishiro and Shiro Baro from Blue Lock. This video will be broken out into three sections: the introduction of the character, aka when the main character meets them, the typing and themes of the character, it's where I overanalyze the themes and what the character means when they say certain things and how it relates to the typing of the character, and clips and moments in the manga where the rivalry is outright shown in the episode Nagi Special and in the full story of Blue Lock. The arcs that are in Blue Lock are divided into different sections, meaning first selection, second selection, and so on and so forth. In this video, I will only be going over the first two selections, so I feel like I shall explain them to you if you're a new watcher and you're not too tapped into Blue Lock. 25 teams are divided into 5 stratums or groups to perform round-robin tourney. The top 2 teams of each stratum will advance to the next selection, and the remaining 3 teams will be expelled. However, the top scorer of each losing team will be allowed to advance to the next selection. Second selection in itself has multiple different parts within it. The beginning is just a training arc where you 1v1 in AI enhanced to play soccer, but the second and third parts of it are the most important. The second stage of second selection is between 2 teams and an elimination stage. Blue Lockers are allowed to pick their teammates in the teams of 2, go against another 2 people, and when they inevitably win or lose, they are allowed to pick one of their opponents to join their team. Second selection then goes on to increase a 3v3 version with the same rules, a 4v4 version with the same rules, and then it concludes with your team of 5 then going against world-class players where you're not really meant to win. It's just to test your ego. So, before we even introduce to Baro, I'd like to explain the setting of the match. Prior to this game, Ego, the founder of Blue Lock, tells Team Z the rules of the second selection. Knowing that anyone who scores the most goals would be eliminated of the chance of getting eliminated, everyone begins to think for themselves in the game. Ego tells Team Z that this is a battle to rebuild soccer from zero. Their first match is in 2 hours, and it's versus Team X. As Isagi takes the ball down to try and dribble, he then gets it took away by his own teammate, Raichi, who is then followed up by getting the ball took by his own teammate, Kunigami. There's no sportsmanship, there's no teamwork, and thus Baro is introduced. Within his first action, he breaks the ball away from everyone and runs straight ahead of Isagi, and he tells him, "Get out of my way or I'll kill you." After saying this, he performs a heel flick over Isagi's head and scores a goal with ease. This easily establishes Baro as a dominant force that none of them can compete with. Prior to Baro stealing the ball, his teammates were also sabotaging each other, but after seeing the presence of Baro on the field, they instantly submitted to his will and started using teamwork and passes for Baro's own goals. After Baro's team scores 5 straight goals, Isagi is spoken to by his teammate Bachira, the only one who wasn't sabotaging him and actually wanted to support him. He tells Isagi that it's a bit interesting when we're down and we're losing, because that's when things get exciting. Bachira, using his dribbling techniques, dribbles past numerous NPCs and passes the goal into Isagi right in front of the GK. Isagi notices it's a 1v1 between him and the goalkeeper, but then Baro shows up in his path. He says, "I told you already, I'm the king. Just try to get past me, you loser." Stunned by Baro's presence and his words, Isagi forces himself to pass to his teammate for Kunigami to score a goal. But this upsets Baro extremely. At number 11, anyone who loses their nerve in front of a goal isn't cut out to be a striker. You don't have what it takes. And with that last sentence, the game ends and Isagi team loses to Baro. At this point in the series, Baro is clearly one of the best players that we've ever been introduced in the entirety of Blue Lock, maybe even the best. And right before we're introduced to our next character, Isagi goes to the training room to practice a bit and meets none other than Baro again. "Tell me, Baro, how can I become a striker who scores goals like you?" Baro, refusing the answer, kicks the ball in Isagi's face and tells him to use his own brain. "You're the top scorer with 10 goals. You can score all by yourself. You're the most amazing guy here. I don't want to be left here. I want to win. I want to be someone who can fight on his own, just like you." To me, the words from Isagi represent his dedication and his motivation to improve, even bound before an enemy to sacrifice his own ego to improve his skills. Baro says he'll crush Isagi's weak ego and decides to 1v1 him, forming a dribble move and getting right past Isagi to score a goal easily. Isagi throws the ball back at Baro's feet, tempting him. He's not done yet, but Baro responds by saying, "Who do you think you're talking to? I am the king." During the match, Isagi's using every moment of loss as a way to improve and understand Baro's game, from the way that he blocks with his arm to get a better shot, or the way that he feints the ball so he can score better. Isagi then claims that he's found the solution to stop Baro. It's his distance. While losing so much, Isagi starts to get fired up, and his ego is shown throughout his eyes. Baro takes notice of this and decides to score another goal again. But this time, the goal is made from outside of the formula Isagi has come up with. Isagi's playing Baro higher now to close out his distance from a goal, and Baro understands that. He makes it an effort to score from a different distance so Isagi doesn't think he has the one up on him. Isagi then thinks to himself, just how much training has he done to be able to make off these kind of plays? I think that sentence represents what Baro is. He's a deity of hard work, perseverance. Baro tells Isagi, "I didn't teach you, I just made you realize. As long as I'm on the field, the despair you should feel should be more than enough to make you quit." But what this has done for Isagi is not motivated him to quit, but just motivated him to get better. Being face to face with an individual whose hard work has taken him so far is amazing to Isagi. But Mani, this is a parallel video with Baro and another character. Why are you talking about Isagi? That's because Isagi is about to go up against one of the greatest talents, one of the biggest prodigies, the lazy genius, Nagi Seishiro. It's finally time for Team Z to meet Team V, the intense match between Nagi Seishiro and Isagi Orichi. Nagi's team is undefeated, so a loss here doesn't mean anything except damage to their ego. But for Isagi's team, this is their elimination game. If they lose, they're all gone, except the top scorer. Now, there are going to be some details that I leave out of this match for sake of analyzing Nagi's character. Things that I don't go over, like other teammates scoring or other people doing things, aren't necessary to the analysis. But if you're new to Blue Lock, the context of this match is that everyone's already adjusted to their teams. Team Z and Team V are all playing with communication. They're teams now. To start the match, Isagi's teammate Bachira throws a long pass to their teammate Gagamaru. In an attempt to do a diving header, Gagamaru misses the net and hits the side of the bar. Nagi's teammate Reo is inspired by the play that was just attempted by Team Z and immediately asks Nagi to try the move. Nagi's response is to call the attempt a pain, but nonetheless he'll try it anyway. Reo shoots the ball out and Nagi traps it with ease, immediately scoring a goal right off the touch. He killed the ball's momentum and made a goal within the next move. How is that possible? The answer is because he's a prodigy. Nagi then calls the attempt a piece of cake and wonders how Gagamaru even missed something so easy. Nagi, with no reaction to the super goal that he just made, tells Reo if he can slack off now. And to his response, Reo tells Nagi to get 5 more goals. In Nagi's next touch of the ball, he kills it in momentum, flips it back over his head, and lands a scorpion kick right into the net. Then, Nagi's teammate Zentatsu scores. It's 3-0 for an elimination game. That's pretty bad. Nagi then asks how many goals until he can slack off again, but then Reo replies, "It seems like their spirits are already dead. You can probably slack off now." But that couldn't be further from the truth. As we've seen in the match with Baro, in moments of desperation, Bachira inspires all. If their goals are super special, then we just have to be super special too, as Bachira performs mass amounts of dribble moves and scores a goal all on his own, pointing towards Isagi to enlighten him to do the same. Nagi's very disappointed to have to try even a little bit more so to beat these guys. Why couldn't their spirits just die? Now that both teams are inspired to win, Kunigami has the ball all the way outside the box, 100 meters to be exact. Kunigami forces all of his power into one shot, getting past the goalkeeper and changing the score from 3-1 to 3-2. Returning after the game's halftime, Isagi tries to score the ball but realizes he's too far out from the net, he won't have enough power, and thus panicking, he loses the ball. But then Nagi goes to him and asks him, "Why didn't you shoot? You do a lot of pointless stuff. Are you stupid? Why do you keep trying? You guys are totally different from everyone else we've beaten. Why don't you give up gracefully? I just don't get it. If I had your level of talent, I would have quit soccer by now. What is it that makes you push yourself so much?" Isagi then tells Nagi to shut up. He's getting to the good part. What Nagi said is important. He doesn't have the understanding on why the lesser would want to improve themselves to battle the greater. He thinks that if you don't have the talent, you shouldn't put in the effort. He tells Isagi to quit because it's what he would have done. During this game, Isagi is trying to utilize his spatial awareness to score a goal and help his team beat them. In other words, an awakening is the moment where you learn who you truly are. Ryo takes offense when Raichi, one of Isagi's teammates, insults him. He says that he's only good for looking for Nagi. He's a jack of all trades, but a master of none. In response to Raichi insulting Nagi's name and Ryo's abilities, he strikes him, resulting in Ryo getting a yellow card and forfeiting the ball. Following this, Chigiri gets the ball, another one of Isagi's teammates that I'm yet to introduce, and scores it. The game is now 3-3, it's all tied up. The seemingly undefeatable genius is now tied. Now, with his ego on the line, Nagi's not playing anymore just for the sufficiency of Ryo. He's playing for his own goals. He has a motivation to score. Being pressed with the idea of losing has awoken the fire in Nagi Seishiro, and he is now acting on his own will, actively calling for the ball. Nagi then dribbles between the whole entire team to pass it to his teammate Zentetsu. Zentetsu then throws the ball all the way back to Nagi for him to trap it at the side of the goal mid-air and hit a turnaround spinning shot directly into the net. The people to awaken wasn't only the bottom feeders, it was the geniuses too. Nagi Prodigy has awoken under threat of losing for the very first time. Soccer is interesting, huh? Nagi then says to Ryo. But he asked him again, how many more goals? This time, not out of refusal for them, but out of motivation, a drive to get more. But again, Kunigami scores, making the game tied all the way at 4 apiece. Nagi, still motivated, receives a long pass from Zentetsu and traps it with his back over Isagi. He's in the perfect position to shoot and takes it at the net. But this is where context kinda matters. So let's rewind a bit. In one of the matches prior, Kuon, this guy with the long hair, has betrayed Team V and decided to play with the other team and score 3 goals so he can become the top scorer. He didn't have faith in them beating Nagi, so he gave up his team last round for 3 goals. In this game, Kuon was forced to sat out. His team doesn't respect him, so he shouldn't play with them. Meaning TV has been playing with a team of 11 versus a team of 10. But in this moment, when all hope is lost, Kuon tackles Nagi, getting a red card and forcing himself out of the game. With Ryo missing the penalty shot and the ball getting recovered by Isagi's team, they push down the court. But I don't need to explain what happens next. Isagi gets the ball in front of the net, and Nagi's right behind him. Right now, you're the most dangerous on the field. The progression from Nagi disrespecting Isagi's name to then getting fired up by him. He understands that Isagi is the motivation for his movements. He's getting better, improving to beat Isagi and his team here. Nagi says he won't let Isagi win, but he's a liar. Isagi shoots his direct shot from outside of his range, piercing the back of the net. Isagi also evolved too. Nagi, with the remaining 2 seconds, grabs the ball and begs Ryo to try again. They can score, but the buzzer rings. The game is over, and Team Z has beaten Team V 5-4. Hey Ryo, losing after giving it your all. So that's what this feels like. It's frustrating. Nagi, for the first time, being presented with the fact that there's players that can beat him, is stunned. In this moment of loss, he can simply just be amazed at the fact there's other people out there who can defeat him. Before I move on to the second selection and show the rivalry between Nagi Seishiro and Shohei Baro, yes, I know how to say his name properly, sorry for the intro, we have to talk about what both of these matches against the main character represented within their character. So, as for the typing and themes of each character, when we both meet these characters, something is made evidently clear to us as a reader. Nagi is the embodiment of raw talent, while Baro is the result of hard work. Within both of their interactions with Isagi, we can see how when he plays Baro, Isagi is fired up by him, while within Nagi, it takes Isagi to get fired up. The dynamic between them is made even better when Nagi and Baro eventually play against each other and then on the same team, thus showcasing one of the greatest tropes in a rivalry, hard work versus talent. This last part of the video will be about Blue Lock episode Nagi. It's a spin-off focused on Nagi, and in it, we get to see his match versus Baro's team. Episode Nagi is just like Blue Lock, except instead of Isagi Yoichi being the main character is Nagi Seishiro. And in the match, we start with Baro at the kickoff. Baro, dribbling on his own, loses the ball, resulting in Ryo getting it, and shooting the ball, resulting in the first goal of the game. Baro's teammates, though they're satisfied with his goal ability, they aren't happy with his sportsmanship. Baro then replies, You know, I would have read this, but I don't know if children are watching, so you can read what's on the screen. He tells his teammates that they had no issues leeching off him when things are going smooth, but when the ship seems to be sinking, they want to blame him. You've come this far because of me. Now offer yourselves to me. Wow, Blue Lock has a lot of homosexual undertones. Nagi, catching on to the fact that Baro calls himself king, repeats the title King Baro in his mind. This may seem useless, but it's important for the bit. Baro's team then unites without him, trying to score on their own, but then gets the ball took away from them by Zentetsu, resulting in another goal. And then Nagi scores here. It's a bit unexplained. Like, literally it just flashes to goal 3-0 and Nagi's on the screen. So do what you will with that. Rayo steals the ball from one of Baro's teammates and immediately looks for Nagi. But to Baro's prediction, he knew where he would go. Baro then replies, please give it back, right? He calls Nagi a slave. I don't want to repeat slave. He calls Nagi a servant who can't do anything without being ordered to. Baro then dribbles past Zentetsu and Rayo, which then leads Rayo to the conclusion. This guy, only someone with solid insight and soccer IQ could have seen that blind spot. Even though I let my guard down, he's a rare talent who lives for the sake of his own goal. He's not just another selfish player. But when left unmarked, he begins to shine a talent that lies in wait in the shadows. When he stands out, he's an existence that's easy to destroy. You're a goddamn joker. Baro then scores a goal while knocking Rayo over, which Nagi swoops in and catches his boyfriend. I say boyfriend because Nagi, while catching Rayo, says, I am not a servant, I'm Rayo's partner. Get married already. Baro tells Nagi to get lost, and to be the world's best player, that means you stand alone as the king. Your buddy-buddy act ain't gonna cut it at this level. You bottom-feeding servant. They really have to stop using the word servant. Nagi then claims that he doesn't even give a rat's ass about football. He only picked it up a bit ago. Talking all kind of traps and beating up Rayo. I just got pissed off with your violent methods, shithead. They then start arguing, and low-key, they about to scrap. But Rayo like, hey, chill, big bro. We just gonna beat him in the second half. And Nagi doesn't even say anything. He just says ... which means nothing. What am I talking about? Nagi then scores on the NPCs again, to which Baro replies, you're satisfied after scoring a boring goal like that? Nagi then says, who cares? A goal is a goal. It doesn't matter if it's boring. Baro then calls Nagi a commoner, to which Nagi replies, what do you mean by that? Baro says, all of your goals. You're just scoring because purple hair over there is controlling you like a servant. What are you, some kind of mindless parasite? Listen up, you mindless servant. The world's _1 striker stands alone as king. I would rather die than be somebody's servant. Baro says this while scoring a goal, but Nagi has no reaction. ... Yet again. Nagi then kicks off the ball to Rayo, to which he's surprised. What are you... It's rare for him to take the initiative. Yo. Anyways, Nagi then runs in a diagonal line between defenders, to which Rayo thinks, what is he thinking? Instead of choosing the logical option, why is he electing for the riskier option? Rayo then notices that he deliberately went after Baro. Nagi is now face to face with the so-called king. Rayo then sends the ball to Nagi, but he doesn't even turn around in reaction for the pass. Rayo says, Nagi, the ball is coming, but he replies, I know, trapping it with his back foot in momentum. Nagi then bounces it off the floor, to which Baro grabs him at his side to knock him off balance. But it doesn't work. Nagi's simply built different. He then says, pathetic, you let a servant get the better of you. You fail as a king, while scoring a penalty-made goal over Baro's head. The game ends 5-2, and Team V wins. Oi Nagi, that was a kick-ass goal from someone who's super lazy or yourself. Rayo then says, was it all for me? Nagi replies, not really. And Zentetsu has a bit where he says you skinned Baro a new one, but he means ripped. Zentetsu's whole character is being stupid. Baro approaches Nagi and says, lazy bum my ass. That's one scary ego you got there, egoist. Next time we meet, I'll make you my servant, asshole. Baro, even without having a nice team behind him, still managed to get 2 goals all on his own. Hard work and his desperation to prove that Nagi is just a servant has brought him to those 2 goals. But Nagi's awakening by Baro's hatred and rude playstyle has awoken him as well. Nagi simply doesn't see himself as a servant. He couldn't care less about soccer. But when you bring it to his attention, the simply lazy genius is now active. I think this match is a beautiful representation of when hard work meets talent. I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video. I know it took me a while to get back to you guys, so I appreciate the support that you guys leave on the video. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and give me any feedback on the video. I feel as if there's parts of the video where I could have been more concise in my theory making, but I think I did good regardless. hope everyone has a nice day. And I have a good video coming out to explain why I was gone. And it might be Blue Lock related. Remember, be good people. It's been your boy Six. Goodbye.